questions. Well, if we don't address these questions, they're going to think that I'm full of baloney. So here's the way I want to do it. I want to do it kind of like ESPN does it with like the 60-second fast answers. You and I, we have a little bit of agenda. I'm going to turn over the controls to you in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But before we do so, I'm going to fire some questions at you, okay?
Yeah.
And I want the 30-second answer.
Okay.
All right. Someday we can go back and embellish it, but I don't want the folks to think that we didn't address their questions before going on our own agenda. Okay.
Okay.
So sit back, take a sip of coffee, and what is the best approach to get people to to get likes, to click likes on your page?
There's no single best approach. It works a little bit differently for everyone just based on who they're trying to attract. But the main concept behind it is to get in front of as many eyeballs as you can. So start with your resources that you already have in your agency, your client lists, your mailing lists if you have any, making sure that your Facebook address is appearing on everything from business cards to brochures if that's where you want to be directing people. And then just working it and making sure that you're working it on a daily basis. Now, if you want to boost that up a little bit more, you can consider Facebook advertising. It's very, very affordable, and it can actually bring in some really good targeted traffic if you do it right. So, but I would definitely start with the stuff you have that is homegrown first before going into any of the paid solutions that Facebook offers.
Okay, bingo. That's the end of that one. What is?
Yeah.
I was told they should use 70-20-10 rule. I think this is how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
70% engaging questions, 20% informational, and 10% selling. Are those good ratios?
They're good. I hate numbers because it always makes people feel like they need to be exactly in that bucket. Those should be guidelines, and you should be adjusting just based on how you see your audience reacting. If you happen to have an audience that really likes hearing about your daily deals, then by all means change that percentage. But it's a good guideline to start with and then see how people are reacting to it.
All right, here's a question. How do I get people over to my website? Can you use the Facebook to get them over to your website?
Absolutely. That's one of the best things Facebook does. The main thing is making sure that you have compelling content on your website, meaning content that is useful to your customer, and then inviting them over. So sharing links, talking about stuff that's over on your website, and making sure people have that access.
Okay. And again, folks, Sophie's going to grab the controls and go and walk through her Facebook and show us some neat things behind the scenes. Very quickly, we want to focus on Facebook today, but is Pinterest something we should get involved in?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic for the travel industry in particular because the audience is mainly female. They're looking to shop. They're looking for travel information on the network. So it's definitely one to watch. And there's already, if you do a quick search on Pinterest, or even you go into Google and you search for your favorite travel brands and include the word Pinterest in it, you'll find some really interesting boards that are already being created.
All right, so Pinterest is something that, and because people are visual and our industry is visual, it seems like it would make sense.
It's a very, very good fit.
I'm not engaged in Twitter. Is Twitter come and gone? Is that yesterday's news?
It's not. I think Twitter, what people are finding is that it's really good for more peer-to-peer networking. There's a lot of travel pros on there. There are consumers, obviously. There are some agencies doing great things on Twitter. But what we're starting to see is that it's not as strong of a traffic generator as some of the other channels are. For instance, Google Plus just surpassed Twitter in the amount of traffic it's generating to websites. So, every channel, my advice is always to pick what you're comfortable with. So if you're not into short messages 6 to 8 times a day, Twitter's probably not your game. And also making sure that it matches with the audience you want to reach. The audience on Twitter is totally different from Facebook or Pinterest. So you really need to tailor it to who you are and who your audience is.
Okay. Now, if you put an age on it, Facebook is between. Who uses Facebook age-wise?
Facebook has a really wide demographic, probably because they have 1 billion users now. And 95% of all social media time is spent on Facebook.
I
So
said that again. 95%.
95% of total social media time is spent on Facebook.
Okay, so that answers a lot of questions right there. So if we're going to focus on any one thing, that's the one to do, right?
It's a good one to focus on. It's a good starting point.
Okay. Now, if somebody wants, I don't have a Facebook, I don't have a page, I don't know what it's about. Where does someone go to get moving in the right direction to enter the game of Facebook? Is there a place to go?
You mean to learn about it or
Yeah,
just to get
yep,
started
yep. Just
getting setting up?
so I can get a page, so I get on Facebook and say I'm in the game.
Well, to get a page, it's really easy. You can actually go to facebook.com, and on that page, you will see two options. One is you can sign up for a personal account, and two, right underneath that big giant box is actually set up a business page. And if you're on Facebook for business, I highly recommend that you set up the business page.
And you're going to show us how to do that in a minute, right?
I will try to show you as best I can with the time we have, yes.
Okay. Okay. Well then, in that case, I know a lot of people saying, okay, the personal is one thing, but we're here to make some money and see if we can use this tool. So business page is the answer. Sophie, I'm going to go over and say change presenter, right?
Yes.
Is that what I do? Okay, I'm hitting change presenter, and now I go down and I find your name. And there it is right there. So make Sophie, yeah, I'm going to say okay. So now you should have a box that says I'm taking over.
Are you still there? Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay.
But
can you see my screen? Okay, perfect. So for those who are seeing my screen, you should be seeing my mug right there.
Let me just say one more. Good morning, Sophie. Okay, so Joe Santoni, one more time. Just confirm that you're seeing Sophie's screen, and then I'll be quiet. Okay, Joe, bye. Yes, go ahead, Sophie. Sorry.
Awesome. So, Mike, you wanted me to step people through to the very basics of how to set up a page. Is that where you want to go?
I think so. Yes, Sophie.
Okay. So, let me just log out here, folks. You're going to stop seeing my mug here in a minute. And it should take you to the facebook.com screen. So you should be seeing it facebook.com. It has a little network of people on the left-hand side and the sign-up form on the right. Right underneath this big box that says sign up, you see here in very tiny letters, they don't make it very obvious, there's a create a page button. And that is your easiest access point to start creating a Facebook page. So if you click on that, and I will, it'll give you a couple options of the type of Facebook page you want to create. So the first one is a local business or place. Second one is company, organization, or institution. And the other ones really don't matter because they don't really fit into what we do. Where, you know, unless you're extremely popular, you might want to consider public figure, but that's about it. Entertainment and even brand or product is a little bit different. So your selection here is actually going to give you access to slightly different information based on what you choose. If you happen to have a brick and mortar location, and I don't know how many of you may or may not have that in the crowd, you probably want to choose local business or place because that will let you showcase your address, give you a map to show people where to find you. It's probably your best choice. If that is not what you want to focus on, company, organization, or institution is your option. So if you click there, you'll see that you get a few questions right off the bat. So choose a category. There is a travel/leisure category, which is probably what we all need to pick. You insert your company name, which is going to be your Facebook page name as well. So you want it to be obviously as close to your business name as possible. If you're creating a page more for a person, you can use either their real name or a nickname if they're known in the industry as something else or they have a nickname of some kind. So let's just default to my regular ABC Travel and click Get Started. So you need to agree to the Facebook terms first, obviously, before you get started. And you'll have basically like a 3-step process once we are done with this screen here. So this is where you create your Facebook account. You enter your email address, you enter the password you want to use. Your date of birth is just so that they can identify you if you're requesting a password or something like that. They're not going to go after you for your birthday. And then just fill in the text box. So once you've done that, Facebook will take you through 3 really self-explanatory steps. I can't go any further because I've used this page name 100 times and it's going to tell me it already exists. But the 3 steps are very easy. It's going to ask you to put in a profile picture. It's going to ask you what you want your custom Facebook address to be. And this is very, very important. It's probably the most important step. Let me log in and I'll show you why. I'm going to go back to Facebook here and log in. So no one look at my password. Actually. So if I go back over to my page here, you'll see if you look at the top bar, and hopefully you guys can see it, I have an address that says facebook.com/espougeot.online. That is my custom address. That is what I give people when I share my Facebook page on all the things we talked about when Mike was asking me the questions. If you don't set up a customized URL, your Facebook address will look more like facebook.com/ab2345gz, and you get the point. It's not a very friendly address to use for marketing purposes. So that's usually the steps. Some people have reported lately that Facebook is telling them that they need at least 25 likes before that address actually starts working. I've had other people tell me they go in and there's no problem. So test it out and don't panic if it doesn't work on the first try. If you, for some reason, can't set up this address in your setup process, you can go to facebook.com/username. And that is the default place to go. You can set your username there at any point. So if you have a page and you've never done this before, you can also do the same thing and you should be able to set up your custom Facebook address. That is the most important step, number 1. Number 2, when you set up a page, it doesn't look as pretty as what you're seeing on the screen right now. It's actually pretty bland. It's white and blue. There's no branding. You need to get to work on branding your page before you even think about inviting people to it. So that includes a couple things. It includes making sure you have a profile picture, which you're seeing right here with me in the orange scarf. You can add a profile picture by hovering over it and clicking on this that says Edit Profile Photo. You have a couple options. You can choose from photos if you have an existing Facebook profile. You can take a photo with your camera on your computer, or you can upload something. In terms of what you can put in your personal or your profile picture, what I recommend is if you're actually marketing an agency that has a team, that you use your agency logo there. If you don't have a team and it's just you, try to use a picture of yourself and try to use something that looks fairly professional. It will be the picture that represents you across Facebook as you're commenting and sharing with people. If you look, I'm scrolling down here, you see my pictures appearing everywhere next to my name. So it's a picture that you want people to be able to connect with really quickly, and people connect the best with people. So if you can put people in there, put it, and if not, your logo's fine. The next thing you want to do is make sure you have a cover photo that either represents your product, your service, or yourself. In my case, because my brand is me, we've used a picture of me for now. But you can use it for a couple things. What you need to know is that this cover photo has a few restrictions on it. So some people thought they'd be clever and use the space to advertise things, and you really can't do that. So Facebook will remove your cover photo if you do any of the following. So if you have any mention of a website or phone number, that is not the place to put it. If you mention any pricing or discounts, that is also not the place for it. If you are inviting people to click the like button, so if you have a call to action, like visit our website or call us now or click the like button to get more information, that kind of stuff is also not tolerated. And they have a new rule which has been a total pain in the butt for most people. They do not want more than 20% of your cover photo to be text. So that means, like, for instance, 20% is about the size of my logo here on the left-hand side. So it doesn't leave you a ton of room. Some people were doing really well at creating cover photos that had travel quotes or just a short description of a photo they took while they were traveling, things like that. You just need to be careful that you're not using too much text in it. So pictures are great. Luckily, we are in an industry where we can share tons of pictures. If you're not really the photo taking type, there are tons of stock photo sites where you can buy a picture and use it for your cover photo. Sometimes you can get lucky on sites like Flickr and find someone who is happy to share their photo in exchange for just a small photo credit. You could do that as well. You just need to kind of browse around on Flickr and contact the person to ask for their permission first. But you can really have fun with it too. Thinking I won't be able to do it on here, but there's some great examples, and Mike, maybe I'll send you a few of them after so you can share them.
Yes, and Sophia, just to interrupt just for one moment, I want to tell everybody that they're sending in questions, and we'll stop Sophie in enough time to address your questions. So I'm not dodging the questions that you're putting in the question box.
Oh, excellent.
And also, Sophie, I just want to do a shout out to Sean Kilner and make sure that Sean dialed the Canadian phone number, or I think she's in Canada. Make sure that you have the right phone number. Anybody who's using your phone. Linda Koenig is using a phone. Make sure you have that right phone number. It's on this. The Canadian number, just so you know, is 647-497-9409. The U.S. number is 516-453-0014. They're not looking at my screen, Sophie, so they sometimes they grab the Canadian number by default.
Oh, okay.
So I just want to make sure. Let me just browse here quickly and see if anybody else. Eva Greenwald. Eva, I think and Donna Zabel, your number should be 516-453-0014. If you're in the United States, 516-453-0014. And the Canadian number 647-497-9409. And I think that's all the people who have used the phone. And Net Cagle, who uses it regularly, she knows. So, Sophie, back to you. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So those are the two main things: making sure you have a profile photo and your cover image set. If you're not really into design, there are services out there that do offer design services for cover photos and things like that. So you can go that route, or you can. There's a ton of free image editors online that you can grab and put something together. The important thing is this is the image that new customers are seeing. So you want it to be professional. So you want a good quality picture. You don't want it to look blurry or pixelated. And you want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward, because in most cases, when you're working on getting new fans to your Facebook page, it's the first time they're meeting you. So you want to make sure that that image really reflects what you want to be putting out there.
Hey, Sophie, may I just interrupt one more time?
Yeah.
Rob just emailed in something I think is important. When you get likes on your Facebook and then you change your URL, apparently you lose those likes to your old URL.
No, you don't.
Okay, you do not. Okay.
Yeah. You said Rob, right?
Yes.
Yes. What Rob might be referring to is if you're the only time you lose likes is if you convert your personal profile over to a business page, which I believe Facebook doesn't even do anymore unless you beg them. Those will convert over, and you'll lose everything on your page basically. And you're starting over. So there's no real point of getting that function in there. If you want to start a business page, just start it and start inviting people. But setting your custom username should not by any means make you lose those fans. You just need to make sure that you adjust the website address if you've provided it to anyone to make sure that they're going to the right place.
Okay. All right. That's what. Okay. That's all right. All right. Sorry. Back to you.
Yeah, no problem. The next part you want to look at for branding that's essential is this little area here called the About section. It looks tiny, but it's very mighty. This is also the place where Facebook tells you that you can put a call to action and put information about your business. So if you've chosen to create a local business page, what will appear here is your address, your hours of operation, and your contact information if you filled it out. If you chose to be a company and organization instead of a local business, you have room to actually write a short about bio if you want. So what I recommend you do here is that you have what I call a positioning statement that tells people what you do, and then that you put a call to action. So visit my website to sign up for my newsletter, or call us for information, or whatever it is. Just make sure you have your call to action with either a website address or a phone number, or what you want people to do once they've decided to reach out to you. The other important thing in this About section is that people can click on it, and you have an entire section for about information about yourself. This may seem like a hidden page, but it's a really important one because it's the only page on your entire Facebook business page that never changes unless you make a change to it. And this is important because this is the page that places like Google look at to start indexing you and start cataloging you in their search results. So you want to make sure that the information you're putting in here, you can do that really easy by clicking any of the edit buttons here. It'll take you to the screen where you can fill it out. You want to make sure that you're really describing what you do and what you offer, and that you're using those keywords that you use with your customers about what you sell, what you specialize in, what your agency's up to. So always make sure that this is filled out as well. It seems really minor, but it's showing up more and more. And Facebook, if you haven't heard yet, is rolling out a brand new search system that is really robust. I've been playing with it for a few days now, and it's going to be more and more important to have the right words in this description here. So things you want to include, again, keywords about what you do, description of your business, your about. If you look at the very top here, where it says about, that's what's appearing on the front of my business page. So that's your call to action and positioning statement, and any links back to your website. So if you want to send people over to your blog or just your home page, you can do that in your information area here on the right. So make sure those are in there. You do it once and you forget it. So it may seem like a lot of work, but you can do it once and just leave it after that. So it's really not a huge effort. It doesn't need to be kept up unless you're updating stuff, and you need to update it on your About page.
Yes, Sophie, I just got a reminder from one of our members again. I want to say this as a public service. If you're calling from Canada on a telephone, 647-497-9409. That was the default number when you registered. If you are an American of the United States, the number is 516-453-0014. Now, normally I have that on my cover page, but with Sophie taking over, you don't have these phone numbers. So Americans, 516-453-0014. Back to you, Sophie.
Yeah, thanks. So that is the basics. When you're looking at branding your page, those three areas should be your main focus. If you want to get fancy, and I will explain it, Mike, a little bit quickly, because someone I know asked about this, and I want to make sure we address it. You can add sections that are customized to you and your content on your Facebook page, and you're seeing them right here on my page, where you see tips from my toolbox, Take Flight with Facebook, and shareable content. There's actually 12 spots for you to add things to, and the boxes will start being added as you add stuff. But the top three are your most important because those are the ones people see without any effort. If I click on one of those, like tips from my toolbox, for instance, you'll see that, hopefully, oh, it's loading right here. I actually have a web form on here where people can sign up for my email newsletter, and a lot of agencies do this. The other things that we've seen is they've set up areas where people can book consultations with them. They've set up product pages as well to showcase some of their tours or their groups. You can do all kinds of stuff. What you need in order to do this is what's called a Facebook app. And that is a third-party service that allows you to put content onto your Facebook page. It gets a little bit technical, so if you're not technical at all and this is something you want to do, I would recommend you talk to either a web designer or someone who specializes in doing these apps. But there are a couple free ones if anyone in the crowd is a little bit technical. One of my favorite ones is an app called Heyo. That's Heyo. And their service is about $3 a month for every app that you install. So one app is one of these boxes here. And it lets you build a variety of things from contests to simple opt-in forms. And the favorite one that I have is something like this, where it actually lets you, you see the spelling here in the top right corner as it's loading. My internet connection's a little slow today. It lets you actually frame in pages from your website so that you don't have to worry about updating things twice. You actually get the screen, you put in the website address that you want to frame in, and you just draw a square over the area of the page that you want to see on your Facebook page, and that's it. You're done. So these can be really easy, but like I said, they can be a little bit more technical. If you're a beginner, I would definitely get some help with this, but you can frame in anything you want. What I really wanted to make sure to address, because the question came up in the stuff that Mike showed me, is whether or not this should be replacing your website. We did have someone say, you know, if we can just bring things over to Facebook, I might just cancel my website. Do not do that. It's not a good idea. If you think about it, what you're doing on Facebook is actually, you're just borrowing their website for real estate, for marketing. You're not actually owning this content. What I mean by that is if one day Facebook decides that you no longer have access to the site, you lose all of your hard work. So the better way of doing it is to make sure you do have a website, that you do have an area on the web that you control fully, because when you build your website, you control how often it's up and down and all that kind of stuff, and bringing people over to it and getting them over to a mailing list, getting them over to a personal contact, and getting them in your client database. Facebook should only be your vehicle. It should not be your home base. I'm going to repeat that. Facebook should only be your vehicle for people, not your home base. So hopefully that makes a lot of sense for you guys. You control your website. That should be your home base on the web. You should be providing information on there that people find valuable and bringing them over to it using Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or whatever other channel you want. You can, and I do, have apps on my site for some of the things that are most important to me so that we drive people over there, but they should not be your main focus. The other thing you need to know is that these apps are not always visible for people who are using mobile devices, and that is probably about 60 to 70% of people who are on Facebook on a daily basis. So these are a supporting tool, but they shouldn't be your main focus. And Facebook is growing all the time and developing new things, so who knows what's coming down the pipeline, but for right now, we have them there, I have them there just to drive that extra bit of traffic, but they're not the main focus or the main thing I use to drive people over to my website. So Mike, I think I'm going to stop there on my soapbox for the branding page. Those are really the elements. I mean, the top part of your page is what people see first. That's where you need to focus when you're first starting out, building something that really represents your company and drives people to the things you want them to see. And you can do that through these services for sure.
All right, Sophie, I had is there time for a couple of questions here now? Is this a good time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. For some reason, my screen finally, I see what you're doing there. But can you go over very quickly how you can change your URL again?
Yeah, absolutely. You go over to, if you're already logged into Facebook or not, you can go to facebook.com/username. It'll take you to this page here. It'll ask you to pick the page that you want to name. And I'm just going to pick something and not go through the whole process because I don't want to name something that doesn't need a name. And then you type in what you want after that facebook.com/ what you want to use. So for me, my page is already branded, so it's telling me that. But if it wasn't, I could type in S. Bujo, Sophie Bujo, and it would tell me whether it's available or not. If it's available, you can actually go through and just set it for your page. Just be sure that you pick the right thing here, because once you set a name, it's yours for life. You can't really change it unless you go through a lot of rigmarole with Facebook, and it includes sending in your driver's license and a bunch of other stuff.
And you said to answer another question that when you do this, you won't lose your likes.
You will not lose your likes.
Okay.
I swear.
All right, let me try. That's great. Why do my Facebook posts go to just a few people? Sometimes it says it only went to 30 out of the 370 likes I have. How do I get my post seen by all my likes?
It's a very good question, and the answer is you can never get it seen by everyone. It's a little bit like email marketing or print marketing. You send it out to the masses, and a percentage of them see it or don't. One of the things that Facebook does is it actually sorts the relevance of content for each user on the system. So it does that by doing a few things. It takes a look at how old the post is. So if you're not posting on a daily basis, you're losing some visibility there. And Facebook is giving you a lower grade for anything else you post. It also takes a look at the type of content you're posting. So for instance, there's been a major shift recently. It used to be that photos were the #1 thing, like Facebook would give high priority to images and video. They've changed that recently, and text is actually what's giving you the highest visibility. It's got the highest visibility score, then photos and videos, and then external links. Facebook is very smart in doing that because external links lead people away from the website. So if they grade it lower, there's less people that have a likelihood of going off Facebook. They spend more time on the site. Okay. And the last thing is how often people are interacting with you. So if you are not focusing on getting posts that encourage comments, likes, or shares, and people aren't regularly doing those things with you, they start not seeing what you have to say because Facebook interprets it as that person's really not interested in that content. So it actually stops showing up in their newsfeed. So that's why your audience is actually not seeing everything. The best solution to that, a lot of people get really mad and say, you know, they just want us to pay for this and that. That's part of it, I guess, but it's not all of it. They want to make sure that whatever content they're delivering is the most relevant and interesting for each person. So your job is to deliver good content that's encouraging people to want to interact with you so that they don't lose off on that newsfeed presence for you.
Okay, gotcha. I'm going down these questions here so we can make sure that we have some people. This one, I don't know if you can make sense of this. It says the boxes on your, I guess, the tips there and the take flight. But yeah. The boxes, do they only need to be supported by apps?
They can only be supported by apps.
Okay, so that's okay, supported by apps.
Yeah, right. And there's different ones. I mean, Heyo is the my favorite in terms of building customized things. If you do a search for Facebook app for YouTube, for instance, or Facebook app for Twitter, if you wanted to display your Twitter feed, there are apps that are free that will help you do that very, very easily.
Okay, I think this question you already answered, but I'll ask it. Can the custom Facebook page address, the URL, be changed if we did it wrong initially? And that's when you said it involves a driver's license and the birth of your third child.
Yeah, it's a hard process. So I really recommend that. I believe Facebook recently changed it to you can change it once without going through the rigmarole, but I wouldn't rely on that, and I wouldn't rely on it not changing in the future. So just check your spelling and make sure you're set with the name you pick.
All right, let's do your homework. How about this one? I am migrating my personal friends to my company page.
Yep.
I invite likes daily, but realize that I only reach a small number of viewers. How often would you think is an acceptable number of times daily for me to do this and not annoy my personal friends?
Daily's a little bit much, I think. You probably want to do it maybe once or twice. You also want to give them a compelling reason to do that. So don't just say, hey, come like my page because you like me. They might like you, but they might not like you enough to do that. So if you say, okay, hey, we're having a contest over on my page, or I'm sharing my best travel tips. That's a low cost, contest can cost a lot, but um, just give them something that you're doing on the page that may want them to start following you. And that's a much easier way to kind of convert people over. The other thing you can do, you guys can still see my screen. So if I go in my administrator panel here at the top, I'm going to click show, and you're going to see the back end of a page. This is some of the information you get. There's this box here called invite friends. This is a much easier way to do it if you want to invite certain people personally. You can actually click on see all here to see all of your friends. And you see the ones that are grayed out are friends that already like my page. The other ones are people that don't already like it that I might want to invite. So I can check off their box and hit submit, and they will be sent an invitation to like my page. It'll show up in their message box. So that's a good way of sending out a personal invitation without necessarily annoying everyone all the time. And the great thing is that Facebook has actually put a limit on how often you can do that. So if you're wondering if you're doing it too often, it won't let you do it too often. So if you can't invite the friend, they'll be in gray. So it's a great way to use invitations without feeling like you're doing it too often.
Yes, good. That's excellent. Excellent. Let's see what this here. Okay, hold on. I'm just reading some of these that
Yep.
I have a new page with only two. I asked them to get my original one back, and they said, I'll just read this, but I think you covered this. Is I started a Facebook 4 years ago with over 3,700 friends. My home office hired a company to take over our Facebook, and now I have a new page with only 250 people. I asked them to get my original ones back, and they said they can't do it. Does that make sense to you?
Well, I understand what they're saying. I'm not sure. Like, I'd have to know what that company is doing.
Okay, no help there. Okay, gotcha.
I sympathize, though. That really sucks.
Yeah, it's like you're hitting the button and bingo, they're gone. My username is XYZ, and folks tell me they cannot get there by going to www.facebook.com/XYZ.
Let's try it. Is it
Well,
XYZ?
it's not XYZ. I'll tell you, it's facebook.com/unique travel planners.
All in one word?
Yep. Unique travel planners.
Did I spell it right, Mike? Can you see?
It's too unique travel planner. Looks good from here. It's real small. Go ahead.
So hopefully that's her page.
Unique travel planners. It'd be Sue. Is that Sue?
Can I click on Sue? No, I can't click on Sue.
Yeah, there's Sue. Okay, there's Sue's on top of the picture in the middle column. So there it is.
Okay.
Okay, so Sue, there you go.
It should be working. They might be just misspelling it, or maybe they're not logged into Facebook. I'm not sure.
Or tell your friend Sue to move to Vancouver, because you can get it up there.
Yeah, exactly. And Vancouver's great.
Okay, how to engage people without sounding fake or hokey. A lot of people I see that get engagement, or either I am sick, pray for me, and animal photos. How to get people?
I think the best way, in the short time we have to make sure you don't sound hokey is to consider online interaction the same as a face-to-face conversation. If you wouldn't be saying that to someone face-to-face, it's probably not the right tone to use on Facebook either.
I agree with that.
So, where you probably wouldn't walk into a room with people and go, "Hey, I have a $2.99 cruise here. You need to buy now and call me right away." You probably wouldn't do that on Facebook either. Some people do, and those are the pages that tend to go low on interaction unless they've positioned it from the beginning as this is a page for the best deals, and we publish those on a daily basis. Some of the airlines have done that and are very successful. It works a little less when you're a personal one-on-one business.
And, I think the answer there, be authentic, be the
Yeah,
real deal, be you. And if someone doesn't like you, that's not your problem. But just
yeah.
say what you would say to who you want to say it to, and just be real. And let me start this one. So I have a Facebook personal page and another business page. My personal page has a link to connect to my business page, but my
Great.
personal page receives notifications from vendors, but my business page doesn't. Right now, there is not a real way to access the business page. How can I fix that? Did I read
Okay,
that?
read that again. Yeah. I was following until
My
about
personal
half.
page has a link to connect to my business page,
Yeah.
but my personal page receives notifications from vendors, but my business page doesn't. Right now, there is not a real way to access the business page. How can I fix this?
Hmm.
Okay, don't understand the question. We'll go to the next one.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not sure I understand the link between getting notifications and no link to the business page.
how do we like Sophie's page?
Well, you can go, the easiest way is first of all, log into Facebook.
Yeah.
Second of all, go to this URL up here, which is facebook.com/sbujold.online. So that's SBUJOLD dot online.
Right.
And then go over here. Mine says liked because I've liked my page, but here there should be a like button. And if you click like, you will be automatically, I guess, subscribed to my page. The other thing you can do if you want to make sure you don't miss any updates, and this is a tip for anyone if you want to make sure people aren't dropping off of your news feed, they can do a couple things. They can hover over the liked button once they've clicked on like. Go here and click show in newsfeed, so that makes sure that they're always seeing your updates. And you can also click on get notifications, and what that will do, it will pop up a little red flag up here near the globe telling you that I've made an update so that you don't miss out.
Okay. Do you think promoting a page is worthwhile?
Absolutely. Obviously, the way you promote it changes depending on the goals you have. But promoting your page is absolutely worthwhile.
Okay.
And
All right. Now,
really, I mean, if I can elaborate on that a little bit more, Facebook, an email newsletter you'll send once a week or a couple times a month or once a month. That is one contact during the month. What Facebook allows you to do is to have daily contact with people, which is a great way of staying top of mind, right, Mike?
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How can I prevent a travel cruise ad show up on my personal business timeline that I did not follow or like?
You really can't. The only thing you could do, and I will go to my timeline newsfeed to show you this. If you really don't like an ad, Facebook gives you a couple options here. Let's wait till this loads. So you see my ads here in the bottom right corner. Let's say I really don't like this dress ad for some reason. I can hover over it, and there's a little X that appears in the corner.
Yeah.
You can actually click hide this ad, and Facebook will just ask you why do you want to hide it. You pick an option, and that's it. It should stop showing it to you.
Oh, good. Okay, that's very clear. That answers that
So,
question.
yeah, it does affect their ability to show ads to everyone else. Like Facebook takes that data, and if there's enough people saying we don't want to see the ad, they stop showing it.
I want to. There's some more questions here, Soph, but I just want to tell everybody that it's impossible in the time limit and the expanse of this subject. This topic is so large; it's impossible to cover it all, and it's impossible to answer all the questions. But I do respect and salute your questions. And I'm sorry, I publicly apologize if we didn't get to your question today. We're going to continue on for another 5 minutes. But I want to, Sophie did this out of the goodness of her heart, and she told me she wouldn't do this to anybody else but me in the entire industry. Is that right, Sophie?
That's right.
Kind of right. Okay, there you go. Close enough. Okay, how about this one? How often is it necessary to update a business page with new posts?
At least once per day during the week. And if you can during the weekend, some of the highest response times for the travel industry are at the end of the week. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday seem to be really active times. Probably the theory is that people by the end of the week are sick of working and they want to get away, so they're really into talking about travel and adventures they can have outside of the office. But yeah, definitely at least once a day during the week if you want to maintain, the system I was talking about earlier, the ranking system is called EdgeRank. So if you want to maintain a good EdgeRank, try to post at least once per day. The great news, if I can continue on for just a second, is that if you look at the bottom, so here's where you actually make posts on your Facebook page. If you click on this little clock, it allows you to schedule things. So you can actually schedule multiple updates in one sitting if you want to, and have them appear at different times on your page. That makes it a little easier.
Okay, and clarification on that promotion question, Sophie, was for the question was regarding paying to promote it. Apparently, Facebook has something that is that can service.
There's a lot of paid options on Facebook, and there's more and more as the company has gone public and they're trying to figure out how to make money. There's different ads for different purposes. So Facebook pay-per-click ads that you create and you say, I want to promote my page, are absolutely worth it if you're trying to get a new audience. If you're trying to get engagement, they're not as great. The best thing to do then, and you won't be able to do it, ironically, until you have about, I think it's 400 people, the number's been changing. You'll have this promote option at the bottom of every one of your posts, and you can actually just promote that post. What it does is it appears as a normal post would in the person's newsfeed, but it's forced to appear, so it ignores the edge rank of it, and it shows to everyone who's a fan of your page, and you can also show it to people who like your page and their friends. So you can grow your network at the same time, but it's mostly good for raising the engagement on your page.
Okay. Okay. Now, Joe, Joe, I'm sorry, but we can't go into the nitsy-gritty of why you can't change your URL, but Joe's still having trouble going through that URL change. And I don't think we can spend time on that today, Joe. But send me an email, Joe, and maybe we can get around that.
Yeah.
I think the business page needs to okay. Let's see, that's not it. Okay, hold on. Okay, we just answered that one. All right. I think unfortunately we're running out of time, folks. I wanted to say this. I didn't want Sophie to say this because I didn't want anybody on the line to think that this was nothing more than a community service to the inner circle people. But Sophie Bugeaud is as good as they get when it comes to this subject matter, and this is her business. So if anybody wants to know more about Sophie and the services she provides, I didn't want Sophie to be interpreted as this is a commercial, because it was not a commercial in any shape, way, or form. But I do want you to know that she is available to, as a service, this is her business, is to help you with supplying you with a service, and it's not free. But I want you to know that she is available to talk to you. And Sophie, if you would just give any contact information or anything, because I asked you to do this, not because you wanted to do it. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mike. The easiest way to contact me is to go over to my website. The website address is right here if you're worried about spelling. It's www.sophiebugeaud.com. There's information about some of the programs that I'm currently running and some contact information as well. So it is the easiest place to go rather than rattling off a bunch of different places. Just go on over there. and you'll be able to see pretty much everything I offer right now. You'll be able to connect to my Facebook page as well if you want to. And if you're more of a Twitter, or Pinterest, or LinkedIn person, those are there too. So head on over. Like I said, hopefully you're seeing my little mouse moving, but the address is right here for you if you're wanting to write it down.
Great, great. Thank you. And the response to this sales meeting, Sophie, was so good. I mean, the topic is so hot. And me as a marketing person coming in from a little different angle, I wanted to reiterate what was said early. You can't do everything to everybody. So pick what serves your personality. And either it could be Twitter or Pinterest or Facebook or Twitter, whatever it is, and get into it a little bit deeper, but not a lot deeper, because you have to go out and meet people, and this is so much fun and it's so deep. You could spend an awful lot of time in front of your computer. And if you go to my recent blog post, I'm telling you, turn the damn thing off. Get out. Go out and meet people, and not get sucked in to the fun and the entertainment and the depth of this technology. Now, I want to say that, and because I mean that. Not that we can't use this, not that it can't benefit us, but I just don't want you to get handcuffed to it, because I think it's still a contact sport, and you got to go out and rub the flesh and show me your personality. That's what I believe in.
And Mike, just to add to that, you can use social media to actually connect with people that you want to meet in real life. I do it all the time. Networking groups, everything. We'll connect on Facebook first, and then we end up having drinks and talking business and doing things. So there are agencies out there that are using this as a tool to let people know about, upcoming ship tours and all kinds of stuff, and then meeting those customers face to face. And that's a great way of using it, because you're stepping people from being total strangers to potential customers.
Yes. That's perfect. And I was even thinking of that the other day when I was talking about networking, is rather than network to sell your wares, network to go find somebody that speaks your language, and maybe look for a collaboration partner. Look for somebody who can share your pain, and you can just become kind of collaborative associates. But any event, to answer Katie Vetta's question, with any luck, Katie, this is being recorded. So yes, the answer is yes. It's taped, and I say that like I know what I'm talking about. So with that. If anybody, you have Sophie's email, right? Say it again, Sophie.
It's the website address is
www. No, your email, just for them to say thank you if they want to say thank you to you.
Oh, they can send it over to info@sophiebougeot.com.
info@sophiebougeot.com, and anybody, because this woman, the best in the business, just gave up an hour of her life to speak to the inner circle. So Sophie, I want to thank you for that. I want to apologize for everybody we didn't get to their questions. I want to thank everybody for sending in your questions. But more importantly, Sophie, I want to thank you for your tenacity of getting online, for heaven's sake.
I was working so hard for you there, Mike.
I know that. I could feel your pain, hon. I could feel your pain, and I want to thank you again, Sophie. So this meeting is adjourned, as I'm going to